Hi, how are you? This is the Phantom of the Ore. This is my creative super flat Minecraft world in 1.17, and today we're going to do something new. I've been wanting to do this series for a while now, and it's called Building Real Houses in Minecraft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a picture of a house on the internet that I really like, and I'm going to try to recreate that house in Minecraft to the best of my ability. Because of course, not all of the blocks in Minecraft accurately represent all of the possible things you can build a house out of in real life. But I got this idea because where I live, it's kind of like a little farm town, and the houses here are so beautiful that, I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, but every time I see a beautiful house in real life, I always think to myself, I wonder what that would look like in Minecraft, and I wonder if I could build that. So this is just me making that fantasy come true, I guess. Anyway, the picture we're going to start with today is this one right here. So I figured for the first try, I wasn't going to try anything too fancy. So let's get right into it. Also, quick side note, I noticed that an abandoned village spawned in this world, and that's really interesting because I've never seen one of these appear on a super flat world before. Let me know if that's rare or not, but I don't know, just kind of cool. I really like abandoned villages. I need to find one in my survival world. So looking at this picture here, you'll notice that it's made out of stone and brick. But now here's the thing, I don't want to use just like regular cobblestone and brick in this build. No. Because then it just wouldn't really look like the house at all. So as I was experimenting with this, I decided that coral, like dead coral, brain coral, whatever this stuff is called here, actually would make a very interesting texture for the front part of the house. Even if the color is not exactly spot on, I think it could pass for a pretty decent stone look that isn't just the classic cobblestone. So I'm going to start building the front part of the house right now. And you'll notice that I'm only using one type of block for now, but I will add the texture in later. I just want to kind of get the structure down first. I decided for the windows to go 2 blocks in deep because that way I could put black stained glass, which is what I decided to use, behind iron trapdoors for window frames, because in the picture you'll notice that the window frames are a pretty big part of the design. As for the copper on the top, I was trying to replicate that little brick texture on top of the windows. I'm not a huge fan of the copper, I was just experimenting with it in that moment. And then making the archway was hard too because I had to remember that the top of the archway in the picture is only as tall as the windows. It's not that tall. And then I did have to make the archway jut out a little bit in the end because I just couldn't find a way to put the coral on top of it in a way that looked good. And then I added some quartz to kind of simulate that little white brick in the middle. I'm building the entryway. I decided to use dark gray concrete for the floor. And the door was going to be a bit difficult because, as you can see, the door in the picture is quite tall and Minecraft doors just aren't that big and you can't stack them. So I decided instead to just use some dark oak wood on top of the dark oak door in order to kind of make it feel a little bit bigger with a window, and then some bricks around it. Added that little window there with, again, iron trapdoor frames. Here I am adding in the texture, using different types of coral. I switched out the copper for stone for a second just to see what it would look like, but I didn't think it contrasted enough, so then I tried brick, and even though I'm not a huge fan of it, I think the contrast looked nice, so I kept it. And then the lanterns were a little bit hard to place because the lanterns in the picture are right up against the wall, but obviously Minecraft lanterns don't work that way, so I had to put them on top of a brick slab. And then I changed out the dark concrete for a lighter color concrete. I thought it looked nicer. Moving on to the roof, I am using blackstone bricks. I think it simulates the look of the roof in the picture quite nicely. And then here's this part of the wall that juts out right here. You can see the house is starting to come together, and it's very exciting. As for the back part of the house, I had a lot of trouble with this texture. Originally, I decided to use raw iron because I thought the texture looked pretty neat, but the problem is, later on when I went in and tried to add more texture to it, there really aren't a lot of blocks that look good. I mean, I used dripstone and it looked okay for the front of the house, but later on I had to make the rest of the walls of the house and it didn't look great, which is a shame because I was starting to really like the look, and it does match the color scheme of the house. The roof here was giving me a little bit of trouble. I didn't know how to make it look good at the point where it meets the other roof. So I decided to leave it until I had finished building the rest of the house and knowing it would resolve itself eventually. This tall window here also was a little bit hard to build. I had to play around with the height. And then finally, in the original picture that I used, I couldn't really see what the sides and back of the house looked like. So I had to find another picture of the same house, and it turns out it's actually quite plain on the other sides. It's just a large rectangular house. So I made it into a rectangle. I filled in the roof. Finally figured out how to make that back roof connect a little bit better. Looks much nicer now. And then came the tedious task of actually putting in the roof, which is my least favorite part of any house. I hate making the roofs. I added this little flat part here on the left because I don't actually know if the real house has that, but it just seemed to fit well. And actually looking at the picture, it does seem to be flat up there, so I think I was right. This is definitely a house that would be difficult to build in creative for sure, because of all the materials you'd have to acquire. But if for some reason you're able to build this with all of the original materials I used in survival, I would really like to know, because it would have to be a late game thing, but that would be pretty neat to see. Now, as you can see here, when I put the dripstone in to add texture, I didn't like the way it looked at all. To be fair, I did not texture it correctly. I went a little bit too random. Texturing stuff really should be a little bit more calculated, but I hated the way it looked so much that I just decided to go with the regular old brick. And I don't hate it. I don't think it is as loyal to the original picture as I would have liked, though. Also, I forgot to texture the brick with other types of brick, but I can always go back and do that later. And then the only other thing I knew about the house was that on the side here, it's got those 2 windows and the 1 door. And then I decided to add the path in the front with a little bit of the garden you can see in the picture. There's another picture where you can see like a little side garage and the driveway, but I'm not going to add that right now. This is the final product. Compare this to the original picture and let me know what you think of my little replica. Do you want me to also go in and do the interior? If that's something that interests you, you know what? I'll do it if this video gets like 10 likes. I'm a small channel. I don't need that much. Just 10 likes and I'll do the interior of the house. And I'll also do the rest of the yard if you want me to. Just let me know in the comments. If you like this house, if it inspired you, if you think you're going to use it in your survival world, give this video a like, leave a comment, subscribe, Just let me know that you enjoyed it, because I really enjoyed making it, and I'll see you next time.